Hi mga kawawmat, in this video we will discuss the 6 trigonometric ratios. So let us have a short preview on what is trigonometry. It is the branch of mathematics that deals with the relation between the sides and angles of a triangle. It is from the Greek words trigonon. Trigon means triangle and metron means to measure. It is literally means measurement of triangles. It is a tool for measuring distances that cannot be directly measured. And trigonometry involves the study of angles and geometric ratios. Let's have the right triangle trigonometry. So in right triangle trigonometry, it is often used to find the length of one side or the measure of an acute angle of a right triangle. So this is only for right triangle. Okay? So we have here a given figure. I have here triangle ABC with sides A, B, and C. So here, the hypotenuse is always the side opposite the right angle. It is also considered the longest side of a right triangle. So in the given figure, your hypotenuse here is C. Okay, this one. Okay, so this is your hypotenuse. This is always opposite your right angle. So this angle is a right angle. How did you know that it's a right angle? Because of this symbol. So kapag meron po tayong foot dito, automatic this is a right angle. So the side opposite the right angle is always your hypotenuse. And this is also considered as your longest side. Next. The side opposite an angle is called an opposite side, and the side which is also a side of the angle is called an adjacent side. So let's have this one. So if this is your angle, have angle A, so the opposite side is this one. So we have A, okay, small letter A. So this one, if we have angle A, the opposite side is small letter A. And the side adjacent. So pag sinabing adjacent, katabi. So, the side adjacent of this opposite side, eto po yun, this is what we call the adjacent side. Okay? So, this is your angle, this is the opposite side, this is the adjacent side. If this is your angle, this is the opposite side, this is the adjacent side. So, again, this cannot be your adjacent side. And this cannot be your opposite side. Okay, so if this is your angle, opposite, adjacent. If this is your angle, opposite, adjacent. So I have here triangle ABC. In relation to angle A, so ito na nga po yun. This A, small letter A is your opposite side, while B is the adjacent. In relation to B, this is your opposite side, your small letter B, and A is your adjacent. Let me remind you that your opposite and adjacent side can be interchanged depending on the angle. Okay, so depende po sa angle. Kung ito yung angle mo, ito ang opposite, ito adjacent. Kung ito ang angle, ito po ang opposite, this is your adjacent. Ito po palagi ang ating hypotenuse. This cannot be an adjacent side and your opposite side. The 6 trigonometric ratios. So, ano-ano ba itong 6 trigonometric ratios? So, dapat familiar tayo dun sa opposite, hypotenuse, and adjacent. So, paano ba natin malalaman that is the opposite, the hypotenuse, and the adjacent? So, given this right triangle, this is always your hypotenuse, opposite your right angle. And then, this is your opposite, this is your adjacent. Since nandito yung ating theta, so ibig sabihin ito yung angle, opposite ito, adjacent. Okay? So what are the 3 primary trigonometric ratios? We have the sine, cosine, and tangent. So ito po siya. Since we have here our angle which is theta, so ito po yung theta natin. So this is sine theta. Okay? Kapag sine, Tatandaan po natin for sine theta, that is opposite over hypotenuse. So, ito po siya. Pag sine, ulitin ko, opposite over hypotenuse. Okay? For our cosine theta, we have the adjacent. So, ito po, cosine theta. Ito pa rin po yung angle kasi theta po tayo. So, for cosine, that is adjacent over hypotenuse. And for tangent theta, we have opposite over adjacent. Okay, so I will give you a tip later on how are you going to easily remember the given pattern. Okay, so for sine, opposite over hypotenuse, cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse, and for tangent, we have opposite over adjacent. Now, aside from these three primary trigonometric ratios, we also have its reciprocal. Okay? So, we also have its reciprocal. So, we have the secondary trigonometric ratios that are cosecant, secant, and cotangent. Okay? So, we have this table. So, for cosecant, this is the reciprocal of your sine. So, kung ang sine natin ay opposite over hypotenuse, then your cosecant will be hypotenuse over opposite. And then for your secant, we have, this is the reciprocal of your cosine. If your cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, then your secant will be hypotenuse over adjacent. And then for cotangent, we have, this is the reciprocal of tangent. If your tangent is opposite over adjacent, then your cotangent will be adjacent over opposite. Okay. So, hindi siya mahirap for as long as you memorize the pattern for sine, cosine, and tangent. Dahil kapag alam po natin ito, then alam na po natin ito. Why? Kasi this is just the reciprocal of your primary trigonometric ratios. So, for you to easily remember this pattern, we have the sine, opposite sine. Just remember the acronym SOHCAHTOA. Okay, so SOHCAHTOA, ito po yung lagi nating gagamitin, tatandaan. Kasi for sine, that is opposite over hypotenuse. For cosine, that is adjacent over hypotenuse. And then for tangent, that is opposite over adjacent. Okay? So, ito lang po ang tatandaan natin. SOHCAHTOA. So, when you know the acronym of SOHCAHTOA, then it is easy for you to identify which one is what side are you going to get as your ratios. Okay? So, always remember SOHCAHTOA. So, kapag alam po natin ito, sine, opposite, hypotenuse, cosine, adjacent, hypotenuse, tangent, opposite, adjacent. So, pag alam po natin ito, just remember that cosecant is just the reciprocal of your sine, secant is just the reciprocal of your cosine, and cotangent is just the reciprocal of your tangent. So, that will become, eto lang po, magi-interchange lang po yan. Let's have an example. Find the 6 trigonometric ratios of each of the acute angle of the given right triangle. So, we have here triangle ABC with the given measures of 4, 3, and 5. So, we have here our hypotenuse, this is 5. And then, this is our first leg, which is 3. And then, your second leg, which is 4. So, for our sine A, now, depende. Ma'am, ano pong angle ang hahanapin namin? Kasi paano namin malalaman if this is my side, if this is my opposite, or if this is my adjacent? Or if this is my adjacent, or if this is my opposite. Ito, wala tayong problema dito kasi this will always be your hypotenuse. So, ito ang hindi natin alam kung opposite siya or adjacent. So, dito po tayo titingin. Kapag ang given po natin is sine A. So, ibig sabihin, your A here is the angle. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, sine A, ito yung angle mo. Okay? Now, tatandaan na kapag meron po tayong opposite and then adjacent, so ito po yung ating sine A. Diba? Pag sinabi natin sine A, Alright, so pag sinabi nating sine A, ano ba ang sine natin? We have the opposite over hypotenuse. So that is sine opposite over hypotenuse. So we have sine A, we have 3 over 5. So, paano natin kukunin ito? Since ito nga yung angle natin. So, again ha, paano natin malalaman kung ano yung opposite natin or adjacent? Since A ang angle na tinutukoy dito, sine A, ibig sabihin, ito yung angle mo. So, dito ka titingin, opposite ni angle A. So, opposite, that is 3. And then, your hypotenuse is 5. Ayan po, kaya 3 over 5. Ang sine A mo ay 3 over 5. Now, for cosine A, so this is still your angle. For cosine, that is adjacent over hypotenuse. So, ka. Okay, so adjacent over hypotenuse. So, this is your angle. So, adjacent. Ito po yung ating adjacent. And then, this is your hypotenuse. So, 4 over 5. And then, for our tangent A, your tangent A is opposite over adjacent. So, TOA. Opposite over adjacent, this is your angle A. So, opposite, that is 3. Adjacent, that is 4. So, that is 3/4. Next, so again, cosecant is just the reciprocal of sine. Secant is just the reciprocal of cosine. And cotangent is just the reciprocal of tangent. So, madali na po ito. Pag nakuha nyo po yung primary trigonometric ratios, makukuha na po natin yung secondary. So, ano po ang pattern nito? This is just the reciprocal. So, hypotenuse over opposite. So, 5 over 3. This is hypotenuse over adjacent. So, this is 5 over 4. And then, for your cotangent A, this is adjacent over opposite. So, this is 4/3. Okay? Now, let us try for sine B. Now, since we have here B, so ibig sabihin dito naman po tayo. So, eto pa rin ba ang opposite natin kapag B na po? So, B na po tayo. Kanina A. So, ayun ang opposite natin. Ito ang adjacent. Now, this time, B na po tayo. So, alin na po dito? Kung ito yung angle, ano po ang opposite? Ito na po ang opposite natin. So, magpapalit tayo ngayon. Okay? So, ito yung sinasabi ko, depende po sa angle. Kung ano po yung angle mo, yun po, depende po doon yung opposite. So, ito ngayon ang opposite mo kasi your B is your angle. This will be your adjacent. So, sine B, again, opposite over hypotenuse. So, opposite 4 over 5. And then for cosine, we have adjacent over hypotenuse. So, this is your angle, adjacent. So, 3 over 5. And then for tangent, that is opposite over adjacent. So, from your angle B, that is opposite 4 over adjacent. So, that is 4/3. And then, kukunin lang natin yung reciprocal nito. So, cosecant B, that is 5 over 4. For your secant B, that is 5 over 3. And your for cotangent B, that is 3/4. Alright, let's have another example. So, find the value of the 6 trigonometric ratios of theta in the triangle. Now, how are we going to find the 6 trigonometric ratios kung meron tayong missing value? Okay, so kailangan mahanap muna natin to. So, based dun sa mga previous tutorial natin, anong gagamitin natin para makuha natin ang measure ng isang side ng right triangle? Gagamitan po natin siya ng Pythagorean theorem. Okay? So, panoorin po natin yung previous tutorial natin about dito. Okay, so that is c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. So, our c squared is referring to the hypotenuse. So, since yun ang unknown natin, yun ang missing value, yun po yung r squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. So, 6 squared plus 8 squared. Now, so we will be squaring both sides of the equation. So, this will become r. And then this one will be square root of 6 squared plus 8 squared, or the sum of the sum of the squares of 6 and 8. Okay? So, we have 6 squared is 36, 8 squared is 64, and then we will add, that is 100. So let us find the square root of 100, that is 10. So therefore, the value of your hypotenuse, which is your r, is equal to 10. Now, we can now find the 6 trigonometric ratios given the theta in the triangle. So since kapag given yung theta or alpha or kung ano man yan, okay, so kapag given yung theta, alpha, ibig sabihin yun yung angle mo. Okay, so kung ito yung theta mo, ibig sabihin ito yung angle. So, ibig sabihin, ito ngayon ang opposite mo dyan. Okay? Okay, so ito ngayon ang opposite mo, ito ang adjacent. Okay, so ulitin ko, paano natin malalaman kung saan ang opposite at adjacent? Depende po sa angle. Kung ito yung, nandito si theta, ito ang opposite, ito ang adjacent mo. Okay? But since nandito ang theta mo, ito ngayon ang opposite natin, this will be your adjacent. So, sundan lang po natin itong SOHCAHTOA na sabi ko para mas madaling tandaan. So, yung sign natin, opposite over hypotenuse. So, this is your opposite, 6 over hypotenuse. So, that is 6 over 10. Okay, so 6 over 10, get the lowest term, that is 3 over 5. Next, for cosine, we have adjacent over hypotenuse. So, this is your adjacent over hypotenuse. So, that is 8 over 10, get the lowest term, that is 4/5. For tangent, that is opposite over adjacent. So, from here, opposite 6 over adjacent. So, 6 over 8, get the lowest term, that is 3/4. And then, madali na po ito. Ito po ay reciprocal lang po nito. So, your cosecant is 5 over 3. 10 over 6. So, lowest term is 5 over 3. For your secant, that is the reciprocal of cosine. So, that is 10 over 8. So, that is 5 over 4. And then for cotangent, which is the reciprocal of your tangent theta, that is 8 over 6. And the lowest term is 4/3. Okay, so next, I have here triangle XYZ to find each trigonometric ratio. So, ito po ang gagamitin nating figure para mahanap natin itong mga trigonometric ratios natin, the primary and the secondary. Now, how are we going to find each trigonometric ratio if there is a missing value? So, we need to find the missing value for us to give the values of these trigonometric ratios. So, anong gagamitin natin? We're going to use the Pythagorean theorem. C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared. Your C squared is always your hypotenuse. So, that is 17 squared plus X squared plus 15 squared. So, again, this is always your hypotenuse. Your C squared is always equal to the sum of the square of the sum of the squares rather of your two legs. So, we have 17 squared, that is ita-transpose natin. So, your x squared is here. So, 17 squared minus 15 squared. Okay, baka may malito po dito ha. Pareho lang po ito kasi kung ito po ita-transpose natin, magiging minus. So, 17 squared minus 15 squared. And then, inayos lang po natin. Okay, so x squared is equal to 17 squared minus 15 squared. So, that is x by squaring both sides. So, we now have x. And then 17 squared minus 15 squared. So that 17 squared is 289 and 15 squared is 225. And then let us subtract. Your x is equal to square root of 64. What is square root of 64? That is 8. So therefore, the value of x here is 8. Now, we can now give the trigonometric ratios given the figure. So we have our two legs and your hypotenuse. So, for sine x, since ang angle natin dito, so as you can see, iba-iba yung angle na binigay. Okay? Meron tayong x, merong y. So, tignan po natin mabuti. So, since sine x, so ibig sabihin, ang angle mo ito. Okay? So, kung ito ang angle mo, sine, ibig sabihin ng sine, opposite over hypotenuse. So, ito yung angle, opposite over hypotenuse. Okay? So, ito po tingnan natin. Sundan. And then, again, your sine here is x. So, dito po tayo. Ito yung angle. Opposite over hypotenuse. So, that is 8 over 17. Next, we have sine y. Okay, for our sine y, ibig sabihin ito yung angle po natin. So, kung ito po yung angle natin, ibig sabihin, ang opposite natin dito, ito. Okay? So, ito po ngayon yung opposite, ito yung adjacent. So, again, depende, no? Depende sa angle. So, kung ito sine y, so y opposite over hypotenuse. So, that is 15. Opposite 15 over hypotenuse 17. So, that is 15 over 17. And then next, cosine x. So, x naman ngayon. X naman ulit yung ating angle, but this time, cosine naman. So, ang cosine natin is adjacent over hypotenuse. So, from your angle x, adjacent, this is your adjacent, 15, over hypotenuse, so 17, so 15 over 17. And then for cosecant y, so this is your y. Cosecant is the reciprocal of your sine. Okay? So, kung reciprocal siya ni sine, given na yun. Okay? So, even without looking at the figure, so makukuha natin siya kasi nakuha na natin kanina si sine y. Pareho naman yung angle, y din to. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. So, i-ano lang natin to, kunin natin inverse. So, that is 17 over 15. And then, for our tangent y, so ito po si y, angle y, tangent is opposite over adjacent. So, this is your opposite, 15, over adjacent is 8. So, 15 over 8. And then, for secant x is the reciprocal of cosine. Okay? So, eto na po yung gagamitin natin kasi x din naman ito. So, x yun. So, hindi pwedeng halimbawa ito. Kinuha mo yung reciprocal nito. Since reciprocal siya ni sine, eto ang kinuha mo, 17 over 8. Hindi po, kasi y ito. So, dapat y din. Okay? So, dito po, secant x, this is the reciprocal of your cosine. So, ito po, x. Tingnan po natin yung angle. So, this is 17 over 15. Next, so we need to give the 6 trigonometric ratios. So, we have sine d, cosine d, all d. Okay? So, ano pong gagawin natin? We need to find the value of f or the length, the measure of your hypotenuse. Kasi, laging tatandaan na hindi nyo po makukuha itong 6 trigonometric ratios kapag meron po tayong missing value. So, kapag meron po tayong unknown, uunahin po natin yon. So, syempre, ang gagamitin natin ay Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so find the length of the missing side by Pythagorean theorem. So, again, c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. Your c squared is always your hypotenuse, so that is f squared. F squared is equal to 3 squared plus square root of 10 squared. So, we have f is equal to 3 squared. So, we're squaring both sides. So, pag ini-square po kasi natin ito, nawawala na po yung ating square root. Okay? Okay, nawawala na po yung ating exponent. Okay? So, every time na nag-i-square po tayo, kung squared ito, mawawala na po siya. Okay? And then for 3 squared, so since nag-square tayo both sides, so this is 3 squared. And then, since naka-square din po ito, mawawala, may eliminate na po itong ating radical sign. Okay? So, magiging ano na lang po siya. We have 3 squared is 9, and then this will become 10. So, your f is equal to square root of 19. So, yun po ang ating measure ng hypotenuse. So, that is square root of 19. So, we now have the complete measures of the sides of the triangle, right triangle. So, we can now give all the 6 trigonometric ratios. So, for sine, our sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So, since our angle is D, so D, dito tayo. So, this is your opposite, 3 over hypotenuse, square root of 19. So that is 3 over square root of 19. But since we are not allowed to have square root in the denominator, so we're going to rationalize. Okay, so by multiplying both the numerator and denominator by the square root of 19. So we will have 3 square root of 19 over 19. Since pag minultiply natin ito, makukuha nyo rin po yung perfect square niya. So, in short, o yung pinakamabilis dyan, just copy. Okay? Kasi pag minultiply mo yan, perfect square din po yun. So, we have cosine D. So, D pa rin yung ating angle. Your cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So, this is your adjacent. Ito yung hypotenuse. Hypotenuse. So, for cosine, adjacent, square root of 10 over square root of 19. So, again, hindi po tayo pwedeng may square root sa denominator. So, i-multiply po natin siya ulit sa by square root of 19, rationalizing. So, that is square root of 190 over 19. Next, so we have tangent D. So, your tangent is opposite over adjacent. So, opposite, this is your opposite, 3 over adjacent, this is square root of 10. So, we have 3 over square root of 10. Again, multiply natin both the numerator and denominator by square root of 10. So, we now have 3 square root of 10 over 10. And then, for cosecant D, this is just the reciprocal of this. Okay? So, by the way, tingnan po natin. Although this is the reciprocal of this 3 of your primary trigonometric ratios, tingnan po natin, mamaya iba yung angle. Okay? Mamaya cosecant pero A. So, hindi mo to pwedeng gamitin na reciprocal. Halimbawa, secant F. So, hindi mo to pwedeng gamitin as reciprocal. Okay? So, we have, since pare-pareho naman sila ng angle, which is D, so, pwede to. So, that is square root of 19 over 3. And no need to rationalize since wala po tayong radical sa ating denominator. And then, for our secant D, we have square root of 19 over square root of 10. Meron ulit. So, multiply natin by square root of 10. We have square root of 190 over 10. For our cotangent T, this is the reciprocal of this. So, square root of 10 over 3. Let's have example number 5. So, given the theta, an angle in a right triangle, and sine theta is equal to 5 over 13. So, find the remaining trigonometric ratios of theta. So, dito, meron na tayong given na isang trigonometric ratio, which is the sine theta. So, pinapahanap sa atin yung 5 pa. So, paano natin hahanapin yung 5? So, given the measures, 5, 13, and known, our x. Okay? So, anong una natin gagawin? Para makuha natin to, use the Pythagorean theorem. So, this is your hypotenuse. So, this is your 13 squared is equal to 5 squared plus x squared. So, for us to get the value of x, so x squared is equal to 13 squared minus 5 squared. So, we have, by squaring both sides, we have x, and then 13 square root of 13 squared minus 5 squared. So, x is equal to 13 squared, that is 169, minus 5 squared, that is 25. By subtracting 25 from 169, we now get 144. So, square root of 144 is equal to 12. So, therefore, the value of x is 12. So, the measure of this side is 12. Now, let us find the the remaining trigonometric ratio. So, 5 na lang po sila kasi given na po ito. So, paano natin makukuha? Since yung sine theta natin, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So, 5 over 13, ayun na po siya. Let's proceed dito sa ating cosine theta. So, dito, since ito yung angle mo, theta, so ito po siya. So, ang cosine natin is adjacent over hypotenuse. So, this is your adjacent over hypotenuse. So, 12 over 13. For tangent, we have opposite over adjacent. Again, this is your angle, your theta. So, opposite, 5 over adjacent, 12. So, 5 over 12. For cosecant, this is the reciprocal of your sine. So, pwede mong kunin yung reciprocal na lang po nito dahil pareho naman silang theta yung angle. Okay? So, theta naman yung angle. Sabi ko nga, pwede mong gamitin yung reciprocal na lang. Madali na lang siya. Just get the reciprocal of your primary trigonometric ratios kung pareho yung angle. Pero kung hindi, you really need to look at your figure. Okay? So, since pareho po silang theta, just get the reciprocal, that is 13 over 5. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine, so 13 over 12. And then cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent, that is 12 over 5. So we have these 5 remaining trigonometric ratios of theta. Next, given tangent theta is equal to 5 over 2 squared of 6, so we are asked to find cosine theta and tangent alpha. Okay? So, dalawa po yung angle na given. So, depende yan kung ano po yung ibibigay sa atin o yung hinihingi. So, given the measures 5, 2 squared of 6, and x. So, ito po ay unknown. So, again, for us to find the value, lagi pong ganun. Kapag given po yung right triangle natin at may missing value po tayo, always use Pythagorean theorem. Yun lang po ang gagamitin lang po natin palagi. Okay? So, find first the measure of this side, your hypotenuse, so that is x squared. Your hypotenuse is always equal to the sum of the squares of these two. So, we have x squared is equal to 5 squared plus the square of your 2 squared of 6. So, we have, by squaring both sides, so we now get x, and then square root of 5 squared, and then 2 squared of 6 squared. So, we have now 5 squared is 25. This is 2 times 2, that is 4. And then, pag in-square natin to, may eliminate lang po itong radical sign natin. So, that is 6. So, we have 25 and then 4 times 6, that is 24. So, since naka-parenthesis po ito, unahin po natin siya. Okay? So, 24. And then 25 plus 24, that is 49. So, our square root of 49, your x is equal to 7. So, therefore, your unknown, your x here is equal to 7. Now, pinapahanap sa atin si cosine theta. So, ang cosine po natin is adjacent over hypotenuse. So, theta, yung angle mo. So, dito ka. So, adjacent, this is your adjacent, yung katabi, 2 squared of 6 over hypotenuse. So, eto siya, 7. So, your cosine theta is 2 squared of 6 over 7. Now, letter B is tangent alpha. So, your alpha is this. Ito yung alpha mo na angle. So, dito tayo titingin. Now, from here, your tangent is opposite over adjacent. So, ito po yung alpha mo, opposite. This is your opposite. So, that is 2 squared of 6 over adjacent. Your adjacent is this, 5. So, 2 squared of 6 over 5. Next, determine the equation or formula to find the missing part of the triangle. So, in this example, we just need to find the equation or the formula. Okay? So, hindi pa tayo magko-compute dito. Okay? So, equation and formula para masanay lang po tayo na paano siya isosolve. Dapat alam mo yung equation o formula. Okay? So, ang pinapahanap sa atin is y. So, paano natin masosolve si y? So, determine natin, hahanapin natin yung formula niya para masolve natin si y. Okay? Kasi sa mga succeeding lessons natin, yun po ang gagamitin nyo. So, dapat alam nyo kung paano kunin ang equation o formula. So, solve for y, para mahanap mo si y. Ang tanong dito, ano ba yung mga given? Yung available, ano yung mga given natin? So, given po yung angle x natin, which is your acute angle. Given din po yung ating z, which is your hypotenuse. And then, syempre, yung y natin, that is the adjacent side to angle x. Okay. So, lagi mong titignan ano yung given, ano yung meron. So, given yung Angle X mo, given yung iyong hypotenuse. So, from here, and then yung y, anong relationship nung unknown, nung pinapahanap dun sa dalawang given mo? So, ito po ay adjacent to angle x. Okay? So, ito po ay adjacent to angle x since yun ang given natin. Now, given this data, so we have the hypotenuse and the adjacent. Alin dito yung may hypotenuse at may adjacent? So, yun po ay cosine. Okay? Kasi may hypotenuse, may adjacent. So, ang gagamitin natin ay cosine. So, we have cosine theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So, ayun po yun. Kasi yun po ang may given tayo. So, your hypotenuse ay yung adjacent natin and your hypotenuse. So, we have cosine x. So, your cosine theta is ano ba yung angle mo? Okay? Ano yung angle na given? Kasi pag ganito, angle yan. So, ano yung angle? X. Okay? So, cosine x is equal to your adjacent. Ano ba yung adjacent dito sa angle na to? Y. And then, hypotenuse is 12. Okay? And then, we now have, by cross multiplication, we have cosine 54 degrees. Cosine 54 degrees is equal to y over 12. So, by cross multiplication, so kanina hindi pa pala tayo nag-cross multiply doon. Sinubstitute lang muna natin yung angle x natin which is 54 degrees. So, eto na po. Cross multiplication, we have y is equal to 12 times cosine 54 degrees. So, by cross multiplication po, so we have y is equal to 12 cosine 54 degrees. So, this is the formula or equation to find the missing part of the angle. Next. So, dito naman, same given po tayo. But in this question, we are asked to solve for x. So, ganun ulit. Ang given natin ay we have the angle x, which is an acute angle. Your hypotenuse, which is 12. Okay? And then, anong relationship nito dito? Okay? Since ito yung given natin, anong relationship niya dito? Opposite siya. Kanina, anong relationship ng angle x kay y? Adjacent. Ngayon, anong relationship nito dito? So, opposite. Okay? So, yun po siya. Opposite to angle x. So, alin dito yung pwede natin gamitin? Sine, cosine, o tangent. Given yung hypotenuse and opposite. So, ito po siya. Hypotenuse and opposite. So, we will be using sine. Okay? So, that is sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse. So, your theta here is your angle x. Okay? So, that is equal to your opposite is x over hypotenuse. So, that is 12. So, ayan po siya. And then, what is your x? What is the measure of angle x? That is sine 54 degrees is equal to x over 12. And then, by cross multiplication, we have x is equal to 12 times sine 54 degrees. So, this is the equation or formula. Okay, so determine the equation or formula to find the missing part of the triangle. So, dito naman, solve for A. So, ang given natin, identify nyo yung mga given. So, given po si angle B. Angle B is an acute angle. So, ito po hinahanap natin ha. So, angle B is an acute angle. Ano pa may given tayo? Your B. So, B is the opposite side. Okay? So, B is the opposite side. Now, anong relationship nitong dalawang ito? Ito po, itong angle na to sa A. So, kung si B ay opposite nitong angle na to, kasi ito yung given natin eh. Ito yung angle na given. Opposite si B, ano naman si A kay B? Adjacent. Okay? So, we now have opposite and adjacent. So, alin dito ang opposite and adjacent? Tangent. So, we will be using the tangent. Since yun po ang available or yun po ang meron sa given natin. And that is opposite, tangent theta, is equal to opposite over adjacent. That is, what is your theta? That is angle B. Okay? And then opposite 10.6, and then adjacent, that is A. So, ayun po siya. And then, what is the measure of your angle B? That is 67 degrees. Is equal to 10.6 over A. By cross multiplication, we have A tangent 67 degrees is equal to 10.6, or A times tangent 67 degrees is equal to 10.6. So, para makuha natin si A, kasi meron pa siya dito, divide both sides by tangent 67 degrees. So, we have 10.6 over tangent 67 degrees. Next, so let's have solve for C. So, kanina A, ngayon C. So, ang given natin is yung angle B, which is an acute angle. And then, ano pang merong given? Your B, your side B, which is the opposite side. Bakit opposite side? Kasi since ito yung may given tayo, anong relationship niya doon? Opposite side. Okay? So, since C, ano naman ang meron kay C at kay B? So, adjacent, ano siya? Hypotenuse. Okay? So, hypotenuse siya ng given acute angle. So, given the opposite side and the hypotenuse, ano po yung pwede natin gamitin dito? Opposite and hypotenuse. So, we can make use of the sign. Okay? So, sign po yung gagamitin natin. So, we have sin theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Your theta is, what is this angle? B. Is equal to the opposite, ito yung opposite, 10.6 over hypotenuse, which is C. So, 10.6 over C. Your sin B, what is your sin B? The measure of sin B is 67 degrees. Is equal to 10.6 over C. By cross multiplication, we now have C times sin 67 degrees is equal to 10.6. Now, for us to get C, we have to divide both sides by sin 67 degrees. So, we will get 10.6 divided by sin 67 degrees. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell para updated kayo for more video tutorials. This is your guide in learning your math lessons, your Wow Math channel.